Welcome, my friends, to another episode of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, Tanya Tyler, and I'm excited because my guest today, we've had history in the military, and now he is Dr. Jeffrey Coleman. So he's going to give us some insight about how to manage our businesses and basically share some of his discipline that he's learned over the years. So without further ado, I'd like to announce or bring on my special guest, Dr. Jeffrey Coleman. Welcome.
Hey, Tanya, how you doing today?
It's a pleasure to see you.
Good.
Like I said, how's the quarantine period been dealing with you and your family?
The quarantine's been okay. It's just, going through the Corona Elementary. I'm not an educator. So I don't ever want to be a teacher. My hat's off to all the teachers and educators out there because it's not for me.
Right. So, for those who don't know, well, probably really don't know, I always say, let me ask, can I call you Dr. You prefer Dr. Jeffrey or can I call you Jeffrey?
Jeffrey's fine. That's fine.
All right. I have to make sure. But me and Jeffrey, and I don't even feel strange calling you Jeffrey because we always like special sergeant and all that stuff. So, Jeffrey, so tell me, how has you're still in the military, so with us being in the history of what really made you decide to go into the business aspect? And because most of us, for those who don't know, we're food inspectors by military training, but a lot of people go into the food science or the food food science and food, what the heck do you call it, restaurant type business, but you went business administrator. So what made you lean towards that direction?
All right. So I was always, I told myself when I joined the military at the age of 17 that I will do nothing but build a resume until I'm 30. And I didn't write my first resume until I was 30. So I took the business route because I really enjoyed the processes behind building a business from, the bottom up, or going into an existing business and helping them to get better. So that's why I went that route. And then having the food thing was just something I did in the military, but it wasn't something that I knew would interest me long term. So helping people build their business and helping people better their business has become fascinating and fun for me. It's something I really come to enjoy. And I don't think I did, because my bachelor's degree is computers. Had nothing to do with business. So then it wasn't until I did the master's degree and the doctorate degree where I really got interested in, hey, you have one restaurant or you have one shoe store, let's make it 6. And right. That's where it really became, it's the helping the people part. And the business stuff is just, extra.
Right. So with I know you, like I said, you alluded to it, but I was reading that you joined the military at 17. So when you were at that age, most people are thinking not military. So what made the military more inviting at that time?
For me, at that time, at the age of 17, I was not in school. I had dropped out of high school. I only had an 8th grade education when I joined the military. So I said, hey, well, you're not doing nothing. You're pretty much just walking around breathing. Let's find something to do that could benefit you long term. So that's when I saw a recruiter. I was on probation at the time. I was a little knucklehead. So I saw a recruiter down at the courthouse and I said, hey, that looks good. And then the process started from there.
Wow, it's been amazing. Like I said, I think the last time we saw each other was back in 2006 when I left out. So yeah. You've had an exciting, I guess, progress since the time I left out, because like I said, we had our history in the military. So when you gravitate, what really made you decide, now is the time to really seek the things I want to go towards, instead of letting the powers that be, because most of us in the food industry, we were striving to be like USDA inspectors. So what made you say, I don't really, it's time to get serious about what I want?
So I didn't like the path of being slotted into doing one thing. As in the military, I was slotted into being a food inspector, but I wanted to expand and be able to do multiple things. So I started looking at um, different degrees, and I mean, I didn't take my first college class till 2008. So I started looking at different things away from what I was already doing, and I just thought going that route would help me be more marketable. And then the entrepreneur stuff didn't come until well down the road into a doctorate degree where I was like, business, that sounds fun. So that's why I took that route. I just really wanted to get away from what I was doing in the Army.
Right. So I mean, to go to college and really get your master's and your doctorate and stuff like that takes discipline. So would you say what was the biggest lesson from the military that helped you gravitate to what you're doing now?
I think the biggest lesson being in the military, getting the degrees, was just stick to it.
Right.
When you start something, you finish it, right? So it wasn't easy. I'm not going to sit here and say getting a doctorate degree is easy. Dissertation kicked my butt. A master's degree kicked my butt. But I always told myself, since you started it, you need to finish it. So that's the military aspect of it. But the personal side of it was, you got a GED, so you have to go get a doctorate degree. Like in my mind, there was no other option. So I pushed myself to A, stick to it, and B, remember where I came from.
Right. Right. And I know we really talked. You talked about uh, entrepreneurship being like scary to you. Was that because, like you said, your past, or when you say it was enough, I can do this?
So yeah, the entrepreneurship it's scary. It was scary to me. So I'm assuming and talking to other people, I know that it's scary to other people because you don't know where to start. You don't know how to get funding for a business. You don't know how to build a business. You don't even know what business you want to do. You just know you want to do something in business. So it being scary to me was that, like, I was raised in the projects, low income. I remember going to the food bank with my dad. We weren't given the lessons of, hey, start a business, take advantage of the tax breaks and get more money in your pocket. We weren't taught that. We were taught, uh, go to school, go to work, and go home. So I kind of wanted to break from the norm and do something different. And that's why it was scary, because of my upbringing. And then in the military, there's nobody showing you how to start a business. In the military, it's all about getting work done, right? Accomplishment.
Definitely. Definitely. Get the job done first, then ask questions second, right? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't
that
mean to
that
cut you
that
off.
was it. No, it was just those two things. My upbringing, and then being in the military, just not knowing. And it was just something that I said, you know what? If you don't take time to invest in yourself and believe in yourself, then you can't expect other people to do it. So
Right.
that's when I took the road of becoming an entrepreneur. Nobody else is going to do it for me. Nobody else is going to help me if I don't help myself.
Right. Right. So when you're thinking about, like, we're dealing with this COVID-19, and it's sort of like shook everybody off their access a little bit. So what would you say going forward a business owner might consider, dealing with how they dealt with the COVID and how they can move forward with their business?
So I'll just say, like, I'll start with the dealing with it and then the moving forward. So dealing with it now, I would just recommend to business owners that, A, stay positive and optimistic about your business. Have a good business plan and know that it's temporary, right? So knowing that it's temporary, it's not terminal, um, you can come out of it possibly better than you went in, because you've had to face some tough times. You had to realign some things. You got to actually go back and look at those margins and see where were you operating at versus where you should have been operating at. For instance, if you're in a restaurant industry, what's your labor costs? Like, you had to bring that down, and you were still able to sustain a business during this time. So do you really need to take your operating costs or your labor costs back up, or can you keep it low? And I think finding ways to still serve your purpose of your business and lower some costs, because you got to lower some costs now, and you have to keep them low coming out of it. So the part about coming out of it, my advice to business owners would be, don't panic. Just stay the course, and if they need help, link up with a business consultant or a marketing person, something to be more creative and get their business back out there. That would be my advice coming out of it. If they're surviving right now, then keep doing what they're doing coming out of it, and it should work in their favor.
Right. I mean, I know we're gonna go it, so it's like working now into the recovery phase. So it's like having a contingency plan like in place. Like, so how important moving forward with our businesses is to really like consider more of the, I say the global appeal or the online appeal? Is that something that, I mean, I guess, can you really do that? Like, how do you, if you're a brick and mortar, how can you like go with more of the online,
So a lot of what people miss in business, especially smaller businesses, is the power of marketing, right? You can take 3% of your monthly budget, or maybe even 2% of your monthly budget, and use it for marketing and grow your business exponentially, right? It's a small price to pay, and a lot of people don't put money into marketing. Like, if you don't market yourself and put yourself out there, nobody's going to come to you and say, hey, business owner, let me take your business and show it to all these people. Like, nobody's going to do that for you. So you have got to get yourself out there. Now, there's companies out there, bigger companies, who don't market, you never seen a Tesla commercial, right? They don't have to market right now, but maybe eventually they may have to. So, but smaller businesses, they may have to bite the bullet and take some of that money. I just think it needs to go to marketing, and they need to be open to different ideas about building their business.
Right. I was reading where you have on here, it says, I'm always in favor of the most effective creative solution to a problem, even if that requires maximum effort. What really does that mean? I mean, can you expand upon what that really means to you and as business owners?
Can you read that again?
It says, I'm always in favor of the most effective creative solution to a problem, even if it requires maximum effort. So, I mean, what does that really mean going forward? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so I guess I can break that down to say what's going to get you the most bang for your buck, right?
Right, I guess.
As a business owner, you need to put your money in places where it's going to work the best for you. And to some business, like I just said, marketing, it may not be marketing, right? It may be a word of mouth campaign. So put your money where you're getting the most for it. And then taking a tough road, right? Because a lot of business owners just say, well, we were open for 10 years doing fine, and they didn't change a thing. Well, if you don't evolve your business, your business is bound to fail. So that's where you got to look at your business, and you got to make some hard changes. They don't have to be, where you're going to like renovate your whole dining room or something like that if it's a restaurant, or do something drastic. It could be something subtle, as in changing your office hours, doing a survey about your business. It can be something real small, and you'll get a lot of feedback. You pay people $1, they'll give you a lot of information about your business. Or you give somebody a free keychain. It'll tell you whatever you want to know about your business, and it'll be candid. So it'll be something like a focus group, but you'll get a lot of information. So that's something that it's not always fun, but it can be very meaningful into growing your business.
Right, right. So what's your biggest goal for yourself this year?
My biggest goal for myself is actually to start another company. I'm going to start a construction company. So I'm doing I have I invest in real estate, so I have that going. I want to start a construction company. I'm actually working on another master's degree, so I want to finish that in civil engineering. And then my biggest goal is to start the construction company, and yeah, that's what I'm working on. Probably the rest of this year into 2021, and of course, retiring from the Army.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. It's like, so we used to joke about like if I made all this money, would you stay in? So I mean, I know you joked around and we laughed. It's like your money's doing pretty good. So how has you applied that with your military going forward? Does that like cause a kind of like a disciplinary issue with like you can't talk to me when you got one. You know what I'm saying? We used to joke when we were in the military. It's like if I had money coming in, I wouldn't really be doing the things I do. And I know you're in the military, so you can't really say. So it's like, is it harder to deal with you now because you know you got money on the outside, or
No, actually, it's taken maturity. Like so, I don't talk about a lot of things I do outside of the military at work. So it takes me being humble. Like I should be humble enough to know that I am able to do multiple things and still serve my country and be gracious about it, right? So, and it comes from my past. Like don't forget where you come from, right? So 19 and a half years ago when I joined the Army, I didn't have this. I didn't have
you're a whole different person. I'll tell you that.
yeah. So being a bit more humble and just knowing to count your blessings, because I'm a firm believer, and we are all one bad choice away from somewhere where we don't want to be. And actually, yesterday I closed on another flip house, and when I got the check, I said, "Wow, that's pretty good." And the lawyer was like, "What do you mean that's pretty good?" He was like, "That's great." And I was like, "No, I said it's pretty good." I said, "There's people who don't get to get a check like this." So I said, I always got to keep them in mind and be humble about our blessings in life. So that's where I've kind of grounded myself. Like, don't get too far ahead of yourself there, Mr. Coleman.
I like that. I like that. So what's the one thing you want to leave the audience with?
If I had to leave the audience with one thing, I would tell them that if they want to start a business, I would say go for it. Like line up all the things that they need to do and make it a business that will be profitable. Nobody gets in the business not to be profitable, because if you're not profitable, it's just a hobby, according to the IRS. So you're not always going to be able to start a business in something you're passionate about, but you should start a business in something that is profitable for you. So I would leave them with that and just let them know that being an entrepreneur, it's not terrifying, it's not scary, it's not overwhelming, but it is challenging, and it will take some work. You just can't, just because you have money don't mean you'll be a successful business owner, right? So there's a lot of skills that you would have to learn along the way to operate a business. But if it is truly what they want, there's people like me out here who will take you from A to Z, from getting funding all the way through your first year operation, normally first 2 years. So that's what I'll leave them with. If you want it, you can definitely do it. I mean, we're in America.
Right.
It's possible.
Right. Well, before we close out, where can people find more information about you and your services and things that you offer?
So I haven't I talked about marketing, right? I have done no marketing. I kind of just meet people here and there. I feel like I'm helping people, right? So I only do like LinkedIn. I don't have a website. Um I don't really do all that yet. I don't know if I ever will, but I'm on LinkedIn. Um I don't even know what my LinkedIn is. Maybe you can post it under the video, the LinkedIn, the link, and
Right.
they can contact me or email me, jeffrey.colemanjr@yahoo.com, and I'll respond within a couple days or so.
Well, Mr. Jeffrey Coleman, it's been a pleasure talking to you. You have definitely changed, and like I said, it's been an interesting conversation, and I'm glad we got to connect again. Thank you
Yes,
for
ma'am.
coming on the show.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it.
And also, I want to remind anybody who's watching that yes, I will post Dr. Jeffrey's links and information into the comments so you can follow up with him. And I also will put my link for my email in case you have any ideas for the shows or guests that you would like to see. And again, I want to thank Dr. Jeffrey Coleman for being on.
Oh, you're more than welcome. I hope I can come back and do something else.
Oh yeah, I would love to have you come back on. And again, thank you for joining us. And I want to say stay safe out as we reopen for these markets and stuff like that. So thank you for joining us. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for your time. All right, bye-bye.